once you realize that we're all energy, and that energy has a vibrational frequency. So our thoughts are energy, our emotions are energy, our beliefs are energy, everything is energy, and energy wants to move. And energy gets stuck. And when it gets stuck, it causes inflammation and causes problems. Once we realize that we are made of energy, and if our thoughts are energy, we have the influence to start to shift things.
Exactly.
Emotions are energy. It's a really different story.
It is a different story. And the energy of the emotions, that's another piece that we really haven't been taught to look at.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Wealth Within Us. I am Michelle Blae, and today I'm very excited to have old friends of mine, Brad and Pamela Thompson. They are owners of Wellness Within in Connecticut, but they work with clients all over the world, and they have recently become best-selling authors of the book Stress Less and Thrive More. And their passion is helping people kind of like with mind, body, and soul, and releasing any trauma and anything that is keeping you stuck in natural and gentle ways. So I'm so glad to have you guys on. I'm so excited for your new book. So give us a little bit about like who you guys are and how did you get started? Because I know you both have different backgrounds that were not originally in the holistic health and wealth space.
Exactly.
That's true. Well, thank you too for having us.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So go ahead, because you kind of got started in this field.
I did. I got started in this field a long time ago, actually, because I struggled. I struggled with really self-esteem issues, with confidence, self-worth, trust. And I really didn't like myself, even though I had a life that it looked like it was the perfect life. You know, a really nice guy.
Great husband.
And I vouch for that.
We had, at the time, we only had 2 children, 2 daughters. We now have 3. And it was just, and a house, you know, and we were just up and coming. And I just wasn't happy. And so I began my search there. And the very first impact for me was reading Wayne Dyer's first book, The Erroneous Zones. And from that book, that was kind of like the impetus for me. It just had this mind-blowing realization that, you know what, I could be whatever I want to. It's up to me to make these choices in my life. But how do I do it?
Yeah,
I'm not
proverbial question. That's, I think we all are. How? Where's the how?
Where's the how? And back then, which was just a few years ago, it was all new ground. They didn't have a lot of what is available to people now, what we utilize in our business. So it was a lot of searching. And then I got into energy work, into healing touch, Reiki, quantum touch. And I had a business actually with healing touch. Mm-hmm. And then Brad and our daughter went to a workshop, and you can take it from there.
Yeah, so for some reason, I received an email from 2 doctors outside of Boston who were doing a workshop, a weekend workshop, called The Mind-Body Connection. And I was kind of interested in that. I had become interested, probably because Pamela had been reading a lot of things and so forth, but it really interested me. So I called our youngest daughter, who lived in the area, and asked if she wanted to join me at the workshop. So we went, and it was at that workshop where one of the doctors introduced tapping, or emotional freedom techniques. She referred to it as EFT, and it took me forever to figure out what that meant. But she didn't teach it. She just demonstrated the technique, and our youngest daughter happened to be going through a difficult divorce. And she was kind of being harassed and a lot going on in her life negatively at that point. So when this doctor asked for volunteers to come up on the stage, she volunteered. And so there were like 3 or 4 people that went up to the stage. And when this doctor demonstrated EFT with our daughter, I saw the change in her affect within minutes of tapping. And I was in awe of how her whole body shifted.
Wow.
So I asked her on the way to the hotel what was going on for her, because I could see it. And she said, Dad, I felt like the world was taken off my shoulders in that few minutes. So I came home really excited. And I said to Pamela, we have to learn to do this thing called EFT. I don't even think I remembered notional freedom techniques. I think it was just EFT.
Yes.
And so we looked up somebody who was the only person we could find in the area that taught that was in Vermont. And so Pamela, myself, and our 2 daughters went there to be trained in EFT. And we were trained in level 1, level 2, and level 3.
And got our certification.
And then became certified. They were trained in level 1 and 2, I believe.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they still to this day use it. And our son, who came along later, uses EFT in his business as well. So that really began, well, the wellness within already existed because Pamela was doing the healing touch. But this really started our journey to expand, right, in terms of really mind body. What does that all mean? What is the
and now at this point, you guys already have a bunch of tools, kind of that you've experienced yourself.
We had 2 tools at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, was the EFT, which we were using, and the healing touch. So we kind of combined that. And what we were offering at that time for people was a combination of a healing touch session and EFT.
Mm.
And but then it evolved as we began to study the mind-body connection even more. We went to workshops by Joe Dispenza, long workshops there.
Bruce
Lipton, all of these pioneers that maybe people haven't heard of, but they really, have done tremendous work in moving the mind-body tools. Connection.
Yeah. And they are like the longtime pioneers, like you said. And I think most people that even if you're just dipping your toe, sometimes these are the first people that, people have heard of and that they resonate with and say, there's something going on here. And even at that time, because I remember, I think I was one of your trial EFT people.
Yes, I think you were.
And a lot of people didn't know about EFT. Now it's becoming definitely much more familiar. And I mean, It had to have been 10, 15 years ago, probably. 15.
Oh God. Yeah, it was
at least
15 years. Yeah.
Yeah. At least 15 years ago. And it is so interesting because Brad, you came from the education side of things. So this was after you had retired, right? You had already been.
It was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that probably brings in an entirely different perspective from your side where you're thinking, wow, I did all this work in the school systems and stuff. And now I have all these tools. Like, wow, how would that have been?
Oh yeah.
It would have been a lot different. But even with parenting or even our own relationship, it would have been much different.
And even as a tool to give to our kids when
absolutely
we didn't know how to soothe them or help them with whatever they were, telling us or not telling us.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now
I
you've
think
got
one of the major influences for us along the way, in addition to Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton, was we started to follow Dr. Kim Duramo, who is the doctor that actually introduced this. She later founded the American Institute for Mind-Body Medicine.
Yeah.
And she kind of became our guru.
Mm-hmm.
And we took a year-long course with her.
Yep.
And I recently found her.
Did you?
Really?
It was her new book that she wrote. And I've actually, what is it? It's Heal Yourself, or what is her new book?
Be Your Own Healer.
Be
your own healer. That's it. And I was like, and after all the years, and you know all the stuff that I've done too, I was like, wow, this book is really written for the average person, no matter where they're at and what they've done or been in touch with. And I definitely follow her now too. I really loved her book. She was so spot on. And I think she uses EFT in her book, and in the challenge exercises, maybe not challenge is the word, but the exercises that she has at the end of every chapter. But I've recommended that book to several people that have then come back to me and said, thank you so much for that recommendation. That has changed my life. Or I had a friend whose sister was like just diagnosed with cancer, and she was really, really struggling. I think it was breast cancer. And I said, you know what? I just read this book. Maybe this will help her and empower her instead of, it does. It gets you out of this victimhood mentality. Like, oh, poor me, this thing is happening to me, and be like, whatever.
You make an excellent point there, of being in the victimhood mentality. And that's where I was ages ago, because I don't know how. I don't know how to get out of here. And so I stayed a victim. But when we learn the tool, when we learn the information, when we learn how powerful we are, how our mind and our body is so connected, and we have choice, when we learn all of that and the science behind how our mind and body work together, then we're empowered. We're empowered to say, to make those choices. We don't have to go the way we have been shown or told is the right way.
Yeah.
We get to make, our own decisions based on what's going on for ourselves. And that's something I think that we haven't learned to do.
No. And we weren't taught to do it. We weren't really taught that we had a lot of choice. And, obviously throughout the generations, like your generation, my generation, I think now the kids that are coming up now, and even I would say even, my kids are 24 years, are a little older, but I don't even think they look at it sometimes that way. And I try to empower them, but it's amazing to see how even in this short span of time, people really are starting to understand and realize with what's out there and all the information and the science, especially behind it, that says we really are the creators of our lives. And just because somebody says this doesn't mean that it's true, or it doesn't mean that we have to now identify as that or be that, or like you said, basically kind of be victimized by whatever it is. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. It is.
And I think that the science is really important, and a lot of the science that know, well, it's not really available to the public. I mean, it's not taught in school. Epigenetics and quantum physics are not taught in school. So once you realize that we're all energy, and that energy has a vibrational frequency, so our thoughts are energy, our emotions are energy, our beliefs are energy, everything is energy, and energy wants to move, and energy gets stuck, and when it gets stuck, it causes inflammation and causes problems. Once we realize that we are made of energy, and if our thoughts are energy, we have the influence to start to shift things.
Exactly.
Emotions are energy. It's a really different story.
It is a different story. And the energy of the emotions, that's another piece that we really haven't been taught to look at. Our emotions are our guidance system. And when we feel what we call negative emotions, the anger, the frustration, the sadness, the depression, the victimhood, those are emotions that are saying you're not in alignment with who you really are.
Yeah.
And so it's showing us this is something I don't like, I don't want. And so what's the opposite of that? Or where can I go on in another way and turn our attention that way and put our focus there instead of onto the negative?
Yeah.
So,
and staying and dwelling in that energy.
Exactly. So they're not bad emotions, but they are indicators that we're out of balance or out of alignment. So what is it that we do want? Where do we want to go? Mhm.
Yeah.
And when these emotions come up, how do I deal with them? Because so much of your childhood, and I'm sure I did it to my kids too, is like, please stop crying.
Yeah, don't
I
be
know with
angry.
my parents, like my dad never showed emotion other than that he loved us. You know what I mean? Like things weren't going well. We were almost taught, even me as a Gen Xer, was like, you were kind of taught to stuff your emotions down.
Yeah.
But how quickly that
Yes.
is changing, because we're really like, that doesn't work. It doesn't
It
work for you as
doesn't
an
work.
individual. It doesn't work as a society. It doesn't work as a family. I mean, it just doesn't work.
Absolutely. You are so on point with that. And once we can acknowledge and say, yeah, you know what? I'm angry. I'm angry that this happened. And tapping on it. As we say, the only time you want to express these negative emotions is when you're tapping and saying, I'm angry. This happened. That happened. And of course I'd be angry. Whew, I don't feel so angry anymore. And I see, you know what I can do about it? This is something I can do to help the situation rather than being
Yeah.
stuck in
This is a
that.
different perspective. I can look at it like this. Well, what if, or what are the positive sides to this thing that on its surface looks so horrible or traumatic?
Very true. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that,
I also think that the understanding that the body responds to our emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and because we're made of energy and our emotions are energy, they have a vibrational frequency.
Mhm.
And science has now proven that the body responds favorably to high vibrational frequencies, which would be emotions like joy and appreciation and empowerment and those kinds of emotions. On the flip side, the body responds to negative emotions as well. Negative emotions have a low vibrational frequency, which actually causes the body to break down over time. So if you know that,
Right.
then when you're feeling frustrated or you're feeling angry, allow that frustration and anger to come up and release it rather than, as you said earlier, Michelle, stuffing it. It allows you to raise your vibrational frequency once you let those emotions go. I mean, one of the things that we use is a phrase from Abraham Hicks in the Law of Attraction. There's nothing more important than that we feel good, or that I feel good.
yeah. And what
Well,
the brain knows only what you kind of tell it. So whether you've experiencing or are experiencing the joy or the happiness, I'm probably not saying this right, but I know what I mean. It's like your brain knows what you tell it. It doesn't have to be the exact situation. You know what I mean? Like if you're outside and it's super duper cold and you're thinking, oh my God, I'm sitting by the fire and I'm so warm, like your body's going to warm up and you're not going to be cold. So whether it's reality, whatever we call reality, or not, your brain doesn't know the difference, which is, I mean, just that in and of itself is such a huge thing to be aware of, because it changes
Absolutely.
the whole game.
It is. And once we understand, and we do exercises with people so that they actually experience what you're talking about, where they close their eyes and do visualization of something, and then open their eyes and how did you feel? Where did you feel in your body? What were the thoughts that came up?
Mhm.
And oftentimes we do one where they're speeding and the cop comes behind them, and whenever you just visualize getting stopped by a police officer, you've done something not quite right. Every single time people say, oh my gosh, my heart was racing, my hands got sweaty, oh, I got so nervous, I kept thinking, how can I explain this? What they've done just by thought alone,
Yes.
put their body into stress, into the fight or flight response. And then, of course, we do the opposite. So we give them a scenario, a visualization, where it's a very calm, wonderful, soothing experience. What's the difference there? By their thoughts alone, put themselves either into that stress response or into the normal response, or the most where they're intended to be, which is a growth and repair response. where their body works perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, because our bodies are designed to heal and repair themselves.
Yes.
And I think it is
Wow.
good to be also conscientious of other people's thoughts that they're putting on you that are not your own. I mean, if you using that same sort of scenario, if you're watching a movie and you're experiencing everything the character in the movie is feeling, and you're getting the heart palpitations and all
Yes.
that, that's something somebody else or something else put into you. So I think we sometimes need to really understand, well, whose emotions are they? Are they even mine? Like,
Mhm.
where did they even come from? And I think that that's a big part of all of this too,
Yes.
is recognizing, is this mine? Is this generational? Did I learn this from a parent, a teacher, a care provider, or something
Sure.
like that? So it
Mhm.
applies to so many situations.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful um, piece to share with people. It is.
Yeah, because I think sometimes we just don't realize that, hey, that wasn't really mine, but now I own it. So now I've taken it on as my own. And I don't know if you guys have ever I've done the training, actually did it with Dr. Bradley Nelson with the
Oh,
emotion
yeah.
code.
Emotion code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're certified in emotion code too.
Yeah, see there. So I went up to Omega Institute and trained. It was him and his wife, and I went with my sister. And it was
Oh,
such an
wonderful.
eye-opening experience how we can maybe process 70% of that emotion, and that last 30, 20, 10%, whatever it is, it's technically still stuck if you haven't processed even that last little bit. So things like EFT, it helps almost clear it,
Mm.
like
Absolutely.
completely clear it. Because I think a lot of us hang on to bits and pieces of that out of security, out of safety. I mean, you guys probably know better. Like, I think sometimes we still hang on to a little piece of it because it's become part of us. So it is a total letting go, no matter what you do it with the EFT. There's so many modalities that can achieve the same way, and you should always look for whatever resonates with you. And I think what you guys are doing, oh my gosh, it's one of the bigger, more impactful modalities that can help clear things a lot quicker than we can on our own.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
we have continued to broaden our toolbox over the years. You just mentioned the
yes,
emotion
I
code.
mentioned emotion code.
We've been trained also in Matrix Reimprinting.
Ooh, I do not know what that is. Matrix
Well, it's
Reimprinting.
like EFT on steroids.
Okay.
So it's a neat technique where you actually go back in time
Mhm.
and resource your younger self.
Okay.
It's phenomenal. And so when someone thinks of an event, maybe when they're 5 years old or 8 years old, that still has a negative charge to it, we have them bring that event up and go back in time. It's quantum physics.
Mhm.
Go back in time, freeze everybody else in the picture,
Mm.
interact with your younger self, tell them you're back from the future and you're here to help them, and you actually do some tapping on them
Mhm.
and ask them how what emotion are they feeling in the moment, what belief did they create about themselves at the time, and help resolve that and create a new picture that they then put back into their brain.
Hmm.
So the memory, the event happened, but it doesn't get triggered anymore.
Okay.
So the emotion that was attached to that memory, the belief that was attached to that memory are no longer active. A new picture overlaps the old picture. So the old picture is underneath and doesn't get triggered. It's so powerful.
It almost sounds like quantum jumping. Because if
Well,
you
it is.
yeah, because if we are really everything is happening all at once, no matter what we sort of we perceive time as this, linear thing where you start here and you end up over here somewhere, but it really is happening all the time, all at once, which means that you can tap into those different segments. Like you were just, I've never heard of it. It was called Matrix Imprinting. Is that what you said?
Reimprinting.
Oh,
Reimprinting.
Matrix Re. Yeah, we don't want to imprint.
Right.
Unless
Well,
maybe that's some
interesting thing is
nefarious stuff.
that
But
if you change the 5-year-old's memory and you change the belief that that 5-year-old established about themselves,
The
like
negative
I'm not
belief.
good enough,
Yeah.
I'm not lovable, I'm not important, whatever, that changes that person from then on to
yes,
their life today. They're a different person,
yeah,
And I
basically.
think a key here that so many people don't understand, and we didn't either, was that why would we go back and do that? If this child made this belief consciously, I don't believe that. I don't believe that I'm not capable. But that runs in the background. It's in the subconscious. And so what happens when you develop that belief as a child that nobody listens to me, okay? What I have to say is not worthy. Then you're not going to speak up in class as you go through your junior years, your high school years, your colleges. You're not going to get onto a leadership position. You're not going to go for that job, that dream job, because nobody's going to listen to you. So see, it impacts so many different areas of your life. So when you shift that younger self's belief, it carries over into the now, the present. So that
And the future.
And the future, absolutely. And so that belief that what I have to say doesn't matter or nobody wants to listen to me, that isn't true in my life anymore.
Yeah.
It's very powerful.
It's such a good point that you bring up because, you really are. You're letting go of these things that I think we can use as a crutch, as an excuse, as a reason to become a victim. So in the end, it's like it really is just freeing yourself of all of these things that it's like if you look at yourself like these little things all stuck to you that you're like, just get off me. But yeah, I mean, it is. And like you said, it not only helps now in the present, but in the future, so that when you are working on creating that life, that thing that you want to do, you've just cleared the obstacles essentially that are in your path. And you've cleared for things to come in that allow you to go where you're wanting to go because you have to become the thing that allows that stuff in. Yeah.
You have to open the door for possibility.
Yeah, and you have to be wanting to take it. It's kind of the way that they say that people who've won the lottery, it's like their physical and mental and emotional bodies aren't ready for it. So they reset back to where they were before because it's like things gone haywire. Almost like if you gave something too much power and it blew up. I guess that's kind of how it would be, something like that, right?
Yeah.
I think what was a game changer for us along the way was the work that Dr. Bruce Lipton had done on how our beliefs became programs in our subconscious mind.
Biology.
He wrote the biology of belief. And for me, at least, to realize that at some young age, someone taught me, not intentionally, but taught me that I wasn't important or I wasn't good enough or I wasn't worthy or whatever. And that became a program that lives in the subconscious. And it's there to get triggered for the rest of your life because, like turning on the computer, that program gets turned on and gets turned off. And your body, you respond behaviorally and your body responds physically based on that program. And that can be terribly costly in so many ways.
Oh my goodness, right. And it creates a ceiling, I think, for us. It puts
for sure.
You may say, well, I feel worthy and I don't struggle with all this low self-worth, but yet this is about where I'm at. So now you have trouble going above there because it's like you said, that program is set to stay here. I'm worthy up to this point. But after that, maybe not so much. And I think that's what holds all of us back so much from even going after the things that we want to experience, the things that we want to do, the life that we want to live.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I want to one thing that's been coming up in my mind as we've been talking is that a lot of what maybe people will hear and is that I'm responsible for my life, for creating my life. And yes, we are. However, there's not a blame in there. And all of this work that we do and it's a very gentle and very kind and compassionate, because the only way that you or me or anyone can take charge of their life is when they have the knowledge. And so most of us are just doing the best we can with the knowledge that we have in the moment. And until we get more knowledge, we don't do anything differently. Okay. And so it's to have that compassion for yourself when you look back. Well, I've made a mess of my life. I've had 13, different relationships, and they all fell apart, and it was because of me. Well, you did the best you could with the knowledge you have. Now you've become aware. Now you're getting more and more knowledge that can inform the future. You can change that. You have the power to do that.
Yeah, like you said, that's the empowering part.
It is
earlier of what you do. And it's almost like all these things that we were talking about, the EFT, the healing touch, the Reiki, the Matrix
Reimprinting, emotion code, and all this. They're essentially pattern disrupts. If you really think about it, it's disrupting that program that you just said has been going on in the back that we don't even know is running. And exactly,
we didn't even put it in there ourselves. It was just installed by whatever. You buy a computer, there's stuff already pre-installed on it. So.
Absolutely, right on.
Yeah, so
it's somebody else's belief, not ours.
It is, and it's also exciting because when we learn that we can shift all of this stuff, that lets us know that we have the power. Yeah. Yes, I can do this. I can take my life and make it what I want it to be.
And who doesn't want that?
I know.
You know what I mean? I mean, no matter what, I think there's a lot of people that are struggling right now, and there's a lot of things that are going on in the world that, hey, we don't know what's true, what's not true. And it's like, I feel that the best thing that we all can do, and I say this all the time, is we can work on ourselves.
That's it.
And start unlocking this thing, because, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to go down to, Washington, D.C. and make some ruckus? Like, yeah, that stuff isn't going to, that's not helping anybody. You're just wasting your time and your energy. And I think our energy, which I'm hoping that people, and I think they are getting it more and more, is that my energy needs to be spent working on who I am and clearing these patterns and getting out of these lower vibrational states, because it is the biggest ripple that you can cause. And I even, on whatever levels, a lot of us realize that if you've had kids or whatever, but if you're not taking, you feel it no matter where you're at. If you're not taking care of yourself, even just that little bit that you decide, you know what, I'm going to take the day and I'm going to read a book. I'm going to take the day, I'm going to sit outside, or whatever it is. I'm going to take the day, I'm going to go on that retreat. You can take it to whatever level that you want, but you are not only better for yourself, you're better for your family, your friends, your work, your whoever.
Absolutely. That is so beautifully said, because the real power that we have is to impact our own vibration. And as we impact our own vibration, those ripples, they ripple out and they impact others.
And they've got scientific proof that those
they do
ripple out, where they've done people who've gone and done group meditations or even just prayer, send out prayers for my loved one who's suffering from this thing. I mean, those things work. I think I had read something once that right after 9/11, there was something going on, that there was just people were doing so much praying that it actually changed sort of the vibration for a brief moment in time of
no, I don't doubt it one bit.
Yeah, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but they've done other studies where they've shown that the power of many people. Think about it. if you really want to affect not only change in your life, but change in the world, and you could do it sitting in your own home, sitting on a beach, sitting outside in your yard or whatever, that's pretty powerful. It's not only change your own life, but the trajectory of everyone and everything around you.
That's your power. There's nothing more important than that I feel good. When I feel good and my vibration is up here, I am contributing to the whole.
Yes. And I'm helping. So many of us are like, I just want to help other people. Sometimes you need to help yourself first, and you may be even helping people along that journey, but the more you help yourself, it almost seems like the more people that you help just by default.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So now let's talk about your book. Let's see. The book. Stress less and thrive more. And I know that was a tagline that you guys have had in your business too.
Yeah, our book.
So how did the book come about, and what do people have to look forward to in the book when they read it?
Well, we had over the years collected a lot of the research, and we had been kind of cataloging it, if you will, over time. And we had like 70 pages of the research that we collected over time, and techniques and so forth that we've learned over time. And it sat on our computer for years, and no one saw it. And we're working with a new coach. She's brilliant with technology, and we told her about this, and she said, well, why don't you, we said, maybe we can turn this into an ebook. So we shared it with her, and she looked through it and said, this isn't an ebook. This is a book. So that was like the aha for us. And we thought, we do have something to share. And we have techniques, some of which we've talked about today. We have others. And we have a lot of the science
in the book, right?
And also what the book is really about is our journey.
Okay.
And our journey in terms of what we've learned in terms of the science over the years. Because what Pamela mentioned earlier about if you know more, you're gonna act differently. But if you don't know it, you're gonna act the way you always act.
Yeah.
And it's not your fault. It's only your fault when you know differently, and then you act the way you used to. So what in our practice, we don't just use techniques with our clients. We actually teach them the science so that they go away understanding that they're a vibrational being, that how they're thinking is going to affect their body, and what they believe is going to affect their body and their health. If you know that, and you allow yourself to be angry all the time, well, that's on you. Right? I mean, so the book is really about sharing all of that. The body is energy, and all about the vibrational frequencies and all of that. And along with those, there's 9 chapters. Along with each chapter, we have incorporated kind of like a digital workbook where through a QR code or a URL, you can access. Go ahead.
Yeah, meditations. Some of them are tapping meditations. Some of them are not. Videos where we demonstrate techniques. For some of them, we're demonstrating a technique that we've mentioned in the book. We're not teaching it to them. It's not one that they would do on their own. But
like the emotion code would be a good example.
Yeah, right. And Psyche is another one. There's also we demonstrate tapping so that because we want people to be able to utilize that. That's a tool they can go away with and really do wondrous things for themselves, make huge changes in their happiness and health and well-being. And PDFs that explain some of the techniques, give all of the instructions and everything. that they can actually fill in.
Mm-hmm. So there's like a workbook, so they can actually,
they can print it out and fill it in.
Well, they can do it online. So
okay.
They just can type right into it. So, for example, if we teach them how to do a setup statement, what's a setup statement? So we take them through that, and then we have them create their own setup statement, identify their own emotion. Where does it show up in their body? Show them how to do the tapping, have them do the tapping, how to go back and test it. All of that is like we're hand holding them throughout the book.
Yeah. We really want people to read the book, get the knowledge, and learn some tools. And so hopefully that is, what it's going to accomplish.
Oh, it definitely will accomplish. And I mean, I think the thing that people need to understand is that we kind of grew up in a world that essentially tells you you're broken. And
yes,
like you guys are showing, it's like, no, we're not broken.
Right.
Just been programmed in a way that has not necessarily benefited ourselves, wherever it came from, and that you can heal yourself. And here are some tools. I love what you guys are doing, and you guys are always on the cutting edge of all of this. So what does it look like for people to work with you? For those that are watching that are like, wow, yeah, maybe they've read your book and they're like, yeah, I want to go that step further and I want to work with you. So what does working with you look like?
So we do, you mentioned earlier that we work with people anywhere over Zoom, kind of what you're doing here. And we also work in person. And what it's like is that what we always say to our clients is that you come with the content. We own the process. So because the content belongs to the client, we don't know what their background is. We don't know what their memories are. We don't know. So we don't like prepare for a session. They come to the session, and whatever comes up is what's meant to come up during that session. And we kind of just follow the lead. So it happens organically, really.
Yeah.
And we're listening for a lot of cues too. One of the big things is languaging. And when people are saying things like "I can't," or "Oh, you know what? They did this and made me feel this way or that way," or "Oh, I should." I
just said it early. I should.
Yeah.
And corrected.
So when people use that language, or we listen to that very carefully, and we'll go back to it, because there's a lot of limiting beliefs there. And one of the things that I mentioned, Psyche, we can use to help shift limiting beliefs. And when people says, I can't, I'm no good at, so all these little red flags are popping up.
Yeah. And I'm sure everyone listening can relate to at least a few of these, if not all of them.
So the other point I want to make about that is that stress is cumulative. So we use in the book an analogy called the bucket of stones analogy. And if you think of the bucket as your subconscious and the stones, negative memories. Well, as we go through life, there's thousands, millions of negative memories. Some of them are really just fleeting memories, but they were memories like maybe somebody said something to us that didn't land well. Well, that becomes a memory. Although we don't think about it a lot, it's in the bucket.
Yeah.
And so there's big stones in the bucket and there's little stones in the bucket. So part of what we share with our clients is we really want to kind of go after the big stones first, because once your bucket gets full and starts to overflow, that's when the body starts to show up with symptoms. So if we can empty the bucket.
I like to say dis-ease in the body.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dis-ease. Yeah.
So we often will say, what went on in your life that you wish was different? And they'll say, well, I remember the time And that's kind of a clue because the subconscious will send information up that it wants to release. The subconscious wants to keep you safe. It also wants to release this. It doesn't want to hang on to these negative memories. It takes a lot of energy to do that. So what usually comes up is, well, what I wish never happened was, and that's a key for us to say, well, let's take a look at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I also want to mention that, like Brad talked about taking care of the big stones, and that's where a lot of the magic happens. However, sometimes people come to us and they are scared to pieces to look at themselves. And I know that I was there one time. I can't look at that. I'm going to find out what an awful person I am. And so what we will do is go after the small ones. We have a win. Mm-hmm. We get a win with that one and with this one. Okay. And so the person begins to feel, I can absolutely feel, they can physically feel the relief and emotionally feel it. And so that's then after maybe 1 or 2 sessions, they'll say, it's like, blah, this is what happened. It's like, okay.
Yeah. What's important, what Pamela is saying, is that there's a trust issue. Mm-hmm. So we don't ever go after the big one early on because we want their subconscious to feel confident that it's okay to release this. Mm-hmm. And the way to build trust is to do what Pamela just mentioned, is choose something that's small, but still an issue.
Yeah.
And they can experience releasing the emotional attachment to that small issue and say, wow, now when I think of that, it's like nothing.
Neutral.
Yeah, it's neutral.
Yeah, it's almost like they're building up their safe zone. The more they do that, it's like, oh, well, I feel safe doing that. That wasn't so bad. Let's go for another one. We always build up things in our head that really sometimes are not that big of a deal. And then we experience it and we're like, and I think, like you said, even just getting sometimes that small amount of relief that maybe they never thought that they could get.
Yes,
exactly.
And
it starts to empty the bucket too. Mm-hmm. So it's, even though it's small, it's releasing that energy that now the body can use elsewhere for healing and for other things.
For your immune system.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good point that you just said earlier. You said that it takes so much energy to keep all this stuff inside. It takes more energy than it is probably to expand to that next level, to go above that ceiling that we've capped ourselves at.
Sure. Mm-hmm. And that's when you release all that energy that's been tied up all these years, now your body has that energy to heal emotionally, physically, mentally, etc. Yeah. So the body just takes over. In fact, we don't often work on someone who has maybe pain in their knees or something like that, because if it's pain in their knees that's chronic, usually there's some emotions behind it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So we'll go for the emotions about something totally different. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden they say, wow, the pain in my knees are gone.
Or we'll go back and ask them, because we do an intake of finding out all of what's going on for somebody. Mm-hmm. And they may have said they have this chronic pain in their knees. And so after a bit, when they've gotten some relief, we'll say, so tell me, how's the pain in your knees? And it's like, oh, I forgot about that. It's gone. It hasn't been there.
Incredible. Yeah. That could be nagging you for not only months or days, but years.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's so incredible how you kind of just forget that it was there.
Yeah,
exactly.
But that's, I think, the point of the gentle side of what it is that you said you do. You're not like going under this like huge transformation where like woof, all of a sudden everything's kind of blown up around you. But if you ease into it general, I think it's longer lasting. You've built that trust, you've built that safety zone, and now you can just keep expanding and empowering, like you guys said, empowering yourself to really know that you can take charge of this vessel that we're living in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I also wanted to mention that in our book, in the first chapter, one of the what we call companion pages is a stress assessment. And it's 21 statements that reflect the most common symptoms of stress.
Okay.
So there's 7 emotional, 7 physical, and 7 behavioral symptoms. For example, I get angry easily, or I'm overwhelmed. Behavioral, it might be I bite my nails, or I procrastinate. That kind of thing. And physically, obviously, I've got chronic pain or whatever. So we have them take that right at the beginning, and they get the results, and they also receive a PDF that describes what that result means to them. Whether it's are they showing up with mild stress, are they showing up as moderate stress, or are they in high stress based on the results? And then we in that description we have possible consequences if they don't take action, and then also recommended actions that they take. Mm-hmm. At the end of the book, they'll be taking it again, so that if they do the work through the book, we're suspecting that when they take that again, they're going to see a big difference in the results.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's kind of the way EFT works, right? You kind of do a round and then you check in and you're like, how are you? And that whole goal is kind of to get to the neutral, right? Or to the higher state of vibration.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if they, at that point at the end of the book, if they're feeling that they still have work to do, there's an option for them to reach out to us and get on our calendar, and there's a questionnaire at the end that they can fill out, and we can then take it from there. So we don't want them to feel that if they don't get what they're looking for through the book, that's the end. That there's a way.
Alone. They're not alone in this journey.
No, and maybe this is just the beginning of their journey too. So they want to continue that journey. So speaking of which, how do people get in touch with you?
Well, they can get in touch with us by either our first names, Brad or Pamela, at wellnesswithinct.com.
CT for Connecticut, basically.
Okay. And so they can just shoot us an email. And if they want to do that, they can also go ahead and check out our website, which is wellnesswithinct.com.
Mm-hmm.
And where can they buy the book?
Amazon,
Stress Less, Thrive More.
And we will have all the links to all of that and more so that people can reach out to you and connect with you, learn more from you. But I want to end this with, what advice do you give to people? Like, what do you want people to leave with as we end our conversation?
Well, I would say that based on what we know, is most people, almost say all people, have something going on in their life that they wish was different. Mm-hmm. And I guess my advice is that you don't have to live with it, whether it's something going on financially in your life, whether it's a relationship issue, a physical issue, it doesn't matter. It's all energy, and it can move. It's beliefs that are behind it that can be shifted. So I guess my message would be, you don't have to live with it. Mm-hmm. If there's something in your life that's not going well, there's a way around that. There's a way to shift it.
And I would leave people with one of the things I think that we find with just about, again, I would probably say 100% of the people, is that this mind chatter, it is so negative on ourselves. And it's like, you drop a cup of coffee and, oh my God, I'm so stupid. So I would say, be gentle on yourself. You would not say that to a friend. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't say it to your child, hopefully. But, being very gentle on yourself and realizing you don't have to be perfect. And at the same time, as you said before, you're not broken.
Mhm.
So having that compassion for yourself, being your own best friend. And when you do find yourself saying those negative things to yourself, say, oops, wait a minute, let's take that back. I'm not really stupid for dropping the coffee. Oops, I dropped the coffee. That's it.
Mhm. And what just a shift that is for the whole
It's a
rest of
huge,
your day and potentially years from come.
Exactly. Yeah.
that's a huge shift because every cell in your body is listening. So
Oh,
speak
yeah.
kindly.
I
Speak
love that. I love that. And I love you guys. So go out and buy their book. I know I already did, and do the quizzes and the assessments, and connect with them. And thank you guys so much for spending this time with me. I've really enjoyed our conversation and so glad to reconnect as well.
Yeah. It's so good to see you again,
It's
Michelle.
great to see you, Michelle.
Yeah.
And thank you very much
You're
for having me on
absolutely
your
Yeah.
welcome.
podcast.
Thank you. And to everybody else, stay tuned for another episode of The Wealth Within Us. Right now, you can begin aging gracefully, full of energy, vitality, and overall wellness. But as time goes by, our bodies can start to show signs of aging. Until now, introducing LifeWave X39, the world's first product that activates our own cells. This breakthrough in regenerative science helps restore our bodies to a healthier, more youthful state. X39 uses patented phototherapy to elevate a copper peptide that signals cellular activation. Think of it as your internal repair system, generating younger, healthier cells that can rejuvenate your tissues and organs. Just one X39 patch applied daily is all it takes. Safe, non-invasive, and backed by clinical studies, this is your chance to regain control over your vitality. Don't miss out on the future of anti-aging. Experience the power of X39 today. Visit patchedlight.com and start living younger now.